Good evening, everyone. I am your host and instructor, Laney Shaughnessy, and welcome to SpindleTV, your best source for CNC CAD/CAM training videos. SpindleTV is brought to you by Digital Woodcarver, inspiring your creativity and providing you with the tools to create your own unique masterpieces.
Hello, hello. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to SpindleTV. I am your host tonight, Laney Shaughnessy, for those of you that might be new. And tonight is going to be part one of a two-part segment where we're actually going to create a project from start to finish. We're going to work on the design this evening, go over some of the design and create it. And then I'm going to take a poll from you guys and girls during the class to see what day this week we should do the in the shop part, where we're actually go in the shop, work with all of our materials and stuff, and get on the CNC and make the sign. I am thinking Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, but I don't know how many of you, even with social distancing going on, are still kind of going out or got plans for the weekends or anything like that. So maybe Thursday or Friday evening. We'll talk about that more as we go on. I'm a little early, so we're going to get started here in just a moment. But this is going to be the first of the in the shop segments where we actually take a design from start to finish. Most of you that have followed along with me every week, we're usually here in the Vectric software, just going over different types of designs and tools and how to do this and how to do that. And you can only take that so far. We need to actually get out in the shop and see, okay, from the design phase, once I've created those toolpaths, once I've saved the toolpaths, now what? And we're going to take it out to the CNC machine. We're going to prep our materials and get everything clamped down, zero out, run the files, and all that stuff. So in part two, and hopefully it works out well. If it doesn't work out well, then I dug a trench and buried internet cable all the way out to my shop for nothing, because man, I've got some blisters on my hands. It's been a while since I've done some hard labor. I've gotten soft. I used to dig trenches for a living when I worked in the electrical fields and everything, and haven't done it in a while. So I was out digging trenches today, or not today, but over the past couple days, and tell you what, this old boy's getting old. So, but I want to welcome everybody, and I want to thank you very much for joining me. Now, let's get started, and then we're going to get into the design. We're going to talk about the design. We're going to talk about the setup stuff, see what we can come up with, and then we're going to talk about how part two is going to go as far as being out in the shop and all. And then I'm going to get your input as to which day we would like to do it. Unfortunately, Wednesday is not available. Tomorrow is not available because I'm doing a live broadcast with Digital Woodcarver. We're showing off our digital laser, our 6-watt digital laser. I'm going to be doing a demo of that, as well as a shop tour of our production facility, part one of the shop tour. So tomorrow's out of the question. So we have Thursday and Friday. So y'all think about that, stew on that. We also have the weekend too, but I know the weekends are, with everything going on and stuff. I don't know how y'all are spending your weekends and stuff. But those are open as well. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I'm thinking kind of Thursday or Friday, but y'all let me know. Stew on that. Throw it up in the chat, and we're going to we'll take a little bit of a poll. All right. Enough of me talking. Let's want to say hello to some of the familiar faces. Crystal M, good to see you back. Todd. Eli from California. Eli, are you new? I don't remember seeing you before. Welcome, sir. How are you? Or I shouldn't assume. Eli, are you a sir? Please forgive me if you're not. But welcome. Ed Nygaard, how you doing? Hey, Juan. How's everybody doing? All right. Debbie, Bob. Gosh, love seeing those familiar faces and everything. Thanks for coming back and joining and listening to me talk all night. All right, so this isn't going to be a very long class, and I said that last week, and it ended up being 3 hours. We're going to keep this one kind of to a basic, normal class, so you're not falling asleep on me and stuff. And with that being said, hey, Jim, welcome. And Jeff, Ronnie Probert, good to see you too, out of Canada. All right, with that, let's get over into the software and see what we've got here. Now, one of the graphics in the software is going to look familiar to you from last week, which is our tiger here. We kind of, when we were talking about V carving and what bits to choose and stuff, I think I pulled this into last week's project and was talking about that a bit. But when I did that, it made me think, oh man, you know what? There's a sign that I have in mind that I want to make for that. You're going to see another graphic that I have over here. And we're going to talk about that in a minute and how we're going to utilize that. But let's talk about our job setup to begin with. On our job setup, I'm doing a single-sided project. This project is going to be painted and finished. We're gonna in the shop. We're gonna do all that, and I'm going to be using a product called Aura Mask 813, which is a stencil film that I'm going to cover my board with, so that when I carve, it's going to allow me to easily paint the project, and it'll kind of create a block or a barrier so that paint doesn't bleed everywhere and stuff. And I don't have a whole lot of sanding to do. I don't like to sand. But we're doing a single-sided project, and my project's going to be 23.5 inches along the x-axis in width, and 16 inches tall, and it's a 3/4 inch piece of material. Now, I'm going to be working off of the top of the material surface for this project. Usually, I work off my wasteboard, and while we're in the shop and we're doing the setup and getting the machine zeroed out and stuff, we'll talk about that a little bit when we're in the shop in part 2. But I'm going to actually, since I'm just V carving and I'm not doing any cutouts, I'm not cutting through the material or anything, I'm going to just work off the material surface for my Z0 position. And for the XY datum position, I will be starting from the bottom left corner of the material, because my material is going to be set up against the fence and everything when it's clamped into the place. So I'll be working off that corner. So with that, we'll go ahead and set our resolution here. Even though I'm not working with any models right now, that's just kind of my default. So let's click OK and get into our design. Now, let's talk a few things about a few things here. One of the things that I want to talk to you about, for those of you that have upgraded to version 10 of your Vectric software, VCarve Desktop, VCarve Pro, and Vectric Aspire, one of the things that I really love, and I believe it's possibly to do in the older versions, but I actually haven't tried it in the older versions. I just know that it's one of the things they talked about in the newer versions that I really like, the version 10. And maybe they were just bringing it up because it's a feature that doesn't get talked about much, or maybe it's something that couldn't be done in earlier versions. But we're about to find out here as we talk about it. One of the things that I want to talk about is images. And when we're tracing images and things, you should get into the habit of only having to trace an image one time, um, and then never having to trace it again. And I'm going to switch over to me so you can see me talking for a minute. But when we find images or we use graphics and stuff in our designs, we usually will have a JPEG, a PNG, bitmap, GIF, TIFF, or something like that, and we bring that picture in, we trace it, have that scalable vector now, and we create a design, and then the next week we're doing a design that has the same image and things in there, and we end up bringing that picture in, retracing it, and stuff like that. Some of us do, some of us don't. Well, one of the things that in earlier software and all, what I was telling people is when you have images that you trace, once they're traced, export them out of the software as a DXF. Create a file of DXF files, which are scalable graphics. Create a folder of those so that you can pull from that folder anytime you need. And that's all well and great. So we have a DXF folder somewhere in our documents or desktop or what have you that we can pull from. Well, now we're going to do it a little bit differently. And here's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to open up a second VCarve real quick. I'm going to right click down here on my little icon and open up another VCarve here. And in this VCarve, I'm going to create a project that is 6 inches by 6 inches. I don't care about any of the other setups in the software as far as thickness and all that. That's not what this is being used for. This is going to be used for creating my tracing of my image and being able to use that later. So 6x6 is all I care about right now. Single-sided job, 6x6. I don't care about any of the other settings here. I'm just going to click OK, and I've got this 6" by 6". And now I'm going to bring in an image. So we'll come in here and let's grab. We'll grab. We'll grab this guy right here. All right, and we're going to open up our trace tool. And in our trace tool, the very first thing that happens when you open up that trace tool is it fades the image. And the first thing you should do is go down to that bitmap fading because it goes to its default, which is kind of the midpoint, 52%. Turn that fading to none. We want to be able to see the image in its full glory. And this could be a color photo, a black and white photo. It could be anything. And right now I'm using a photo from Shutterstock. And it could be, whatever type of image, but turn that fading off so you can see the full color or black and white or what have you. And then come back up and decide, what you want to do with your image trace. Now, this isn't a class on tracing images or anything as far as the tools and stuff, but I am going to be using a black and white trace for this. And I have a slide bar here that I'm going to slide in one direction or the other till I get kind of the best black and white representation that I want of this image. This isn't the greatest image in the world as far as quality and stuff, but it's good enough for this example. So I'm going to pull this up to, in my case, I've got it up to about 73%, and that's good enough of an outline for what I want to do for my demonstration here. And so I'm going to come down and I'm using the default corner fit and the default noise filter. We would change that accordingly depending on what we're doing. And typically I'm always at the default corner fit or noise. Yeah, corner fit. About to get stumbled there. And now that I have the image and I'm about to zoom back into the image and we're going to continue on, I just want to say 6x6. That's where we're starting. Okay. So let's get back to the full screen here. And in my trace tool, I could, slide this wherever I want. And I'm going to be about 73.73 on my threshold here on this black and white. And I'm going to come down and click preview. Okay. Then I'm going to click apply and close the tool. All right, so that when I clicked preview, it traced the image. I applied that tracing and I closed the tool. Now I'm going to come up here into my layers, and normally we would turn the bitmap layer off. But for what I'm about to do, I'm actually going to delete the bitmap layer. I do not want that layer or its data in this image here that I'm tracing. And then I'm going to go in, my image is all grouped together. So I'm going to ungroup it. And then I'm going to remove the elements that I don't want. Just simply delete them out. Now what I'm going to do is I will group it back together to make it easier and more manageable. But I'm going to size this thing up. I'm going to get it centered first. And I'm using a keyboard shortcut, F9, to get it centered on my material. And now I'm going to size this up. And I want it to just, as best it can, fit this 6x6 area here. Now comes the magic. I'm going to save this file. It's not really magic, but we're going to go File, Save As. And where we save it is important. So we're going to save it in our C drive, Users, Public Documents, Vectric Files. And inside this Vectric Files folder here is where all of our clip art, all of our models and stuff that came with the software, that's where they're stored. Configuration files, our design and make files are in there. Different gadgets, material images. Right now, material images is empty, but if I wanted to put some custom material images like those background images and stuff in there, I could. And then all of our tutorial files. Well, I want to go into clip art. And in clip art, I have a folder here called custom. And I created that folder, new folder, gave it a name. And I could even, I got it simply named as custom, but I could even, call it like custom images or custom tracings or whatever you want to call it, but custom, right? There are custom, right? Kind of thing. And inside this folder is where I want to save this flourish. And so this is a Tree of Life. And I'm going to give it a number. And actually, I don't want any spaces in my file name. Try to get out of that habit. Tree of life. I'm using that humpback lettering where the first letter of every word is capitalized. And then I'm going to go hyphen or underscore '01. And because I might have more than one tree of life, but I'm going to give it a number '01, '02, '03, depending on what I have. And we're going to save it there. All right. Cool. We've done that. Now I'm going to close that project and I'm going to come back to our original design here. Now I have the ability that I can go into my clip art folder down here and click on clip art. Bear with me. It's being slow. And now I can come down to my custom image folder and in here I have my custom images and stuff. And there's my tree of life right there. But this one, I went with a flourish. It was 6 inches by, I forget how long. But the reason why we go 6 by 6 is so that we have a nice grid of images, just like our other models and things. We have a nice square grid, and also 6 by 6 is a good number to pick with. But now I have this file that I can drag and drop into my project, and I'm ready to go. All I have to do is size that thing up, and good to go. And I can access it very easily from my clip art folder, just like with the rest of my models. And so I can start to build up this gallery of all. I will sit there and I'll trace an image, and most of my images are in my Spire clip art and stuff. But I will be able to, trace and just start to build up that gallery and of images. And now I have images that I can pull into my designs and things. So very cool to do. And when you sit there and like, I'm going to trace some images today, and I'll 6 by 6, save them in that custom images folder in that clip art. And once again, that is located in the um, users on your C drive, public documents, in the Vectric files, and in that clip art folder. And I created a folder called custom images. But that'll give you something, that way you have images you can drag and drop. You never have to trace that image again. Pretty cool feature. And all. Okay. Enough about that. All right. So I've got two images here, two vectors that I want to utilize in this image. And Mike Smith jumps in and says, yes, you can do this in version 9. I do this often. So awesome, Mike. Good practice to do that. That way you can just clip art, go down to your custom folder, and you have your images. You can just drag and drop, whatever they might be and things, you know? So pretty cool. Um, and little heart. Aw. Okay. Let's get back to our design. So for this board, I really wanted to use this tiger. I love this tiger graphic and everything. And I really wanted to use this in the design. And then I started thinking about some other elements because I'm going to throw some text in here. We're going to do some creative text and stuff in here as well. So I've actually pulled in a kind of a corner border, bit of a tribal type corner border here and everything. And got a little bit of trash right there. Let me ungroup that. It's all about clean up here. We're going to ungroup, and I'm going to get rid of that piece of trash there. And I saw another one. My eye caught another one way over here. And your eyes will get trained to seeing things like that after a while, especially if you do it every day. Every day. Let's group that back together. All right. So I've got a bit of a tribal image that I want to use as a border, and I'll figure out how I want to connect those borders and things and all. But let's get our border into shape here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees, and I'm going to start down here at the bottom left corner. Now I could drag and drop, that in and fiddle with it and stuff and try to get it where I want. But there are a couple of things that we can do. We have guidelines, right? I could drag some guidelines out of my rulers and lay the guidelines out where I want, this part to be positioned and everything. But for me, just in case, I don't want to I don't want to mess around with guidelines. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually draw a rectangle, and I just want my rectangle to encompass my design here. And what I'm going to do with that rectangle is I'm going to select the corner design and then first hold down the shift key and select the rectangle last. And then I'm going to use my alignment tool and I want it all the way up against the edge on that inside edge. And I want it at the inside bottom edge down here at the bottom too of that rectangle. Okay. And that's going to get that corner right where I need it to be. Now, while I have that in a position, now I'm going to take and basically offset my rectangle and my border to where I want it. And I'd like it to be moved relative to its current position right now. I'd like it to be moved up or over 1/8 of an inch from the edge and up 1/8 of an inch from the edge on the Y. Okay. Once I get that in position, I can then go ahead and delete my rectangle. And that's going to give me my perfect border position where I want that border to be. Okay. So I just used the shape of the rectangle to help me get this thing positioned right where I want it, my spacing and everything, you know. Now I'm going to take that object and I'm going to go into the mirror tool and I'm going to flip it about the job center and I'm going to make a mirrored copy and I'm going to flip it horizontally first, then vertically, then horizontally. Okay. So now I've got my corner borders here for the image. And on my tiger here, I am actually going to place him, I'd like him kind of right in the center over towards the right-hand side because I'm going to put some text over here and stuff. And I'd like him centered in that current position. So I want him, that's kind of the distance I want for him. Maybe let's bump him over a little bit more. Right about there. And I want him centered up and down. So I'll use my alignment tool again and align to material up and down. Okay. Get him centered in there. All right. Now, when it comes to making signs and everything, I try to uh, create a sign that fits the imagery that I'm using and everything. And so we're going to come in here and we're going to type in some text. And we'll start the text over here. But I'm just going to lay out the text right now. I'm just typing it out. We're going to come back and customize it in a moment. Did y'all lose sound? Has anybody else lost sound? Roy says he lost sound and lost video. George lost video. Roy lost sound. Am I still coming through loud and clear? Let me know what happened. All right. Bryn hears me. Everybody else hears me. All right. So let me know if I've lost sound or anything, which I'm monitoring the sound that you guys are hearing in here, and I still hear myself. And these earphones are only for what you guys are hearing, so I'm not sure. I hear sound and all. So good here, good here. All right, cool. I heard you. All right. Let's get back to it. Bum, bum, bum. Where were we? Oh, we were typing in the text. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay out the text. Then I'm going to come back and customize it how I want it to, be laid out, finalized. But I just want to get the words on the board. All right. So here we go. I want the word courage. And we'll do that in all capital letters. And then I'm going to be changing fonts, and also I'm not really paying attention to what the font looks like or anything right now. I'm just typing it. Okay. And I want this. Of here. Let's make this text a little bit smaller for right now. Oops. Get back there. is not the absence of fear, comma, but the triumph over it. All right. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. All right. So now that I have the text on the board, now I want to start designing the text and laying it out and everything, and all. And so, I for the word courage, absence, and triumph, I'm kind of digging the Brilliant font. You know, it's kind of a decorative font. We might stick with that. But the other words, not so much. So right now, when I created this, I wrote it in an entire text block. And I need to work with these words or these lines one line at a time. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to break the text block into lines. And now I can work with each of these lines independently and everything. So um, let's kind of start laying this out. Excuse me. All right. All right. So let's get this laid out. And let me see here on my tiger. I want to make him a little bit smaller. Not much, but though. D. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm digging the word, the font here for the word courage. It might make it bold, because of the tribal bands and everything, and the way that the letters are and all. Kind of digging that. Um, you know, kind of like that. But if we were to pick out, additional fonts, we can always go to wordmark.it, which shows you all the fonts that are on your computer. And currently, right now, I'm using the Brilliant font. And, but, there are, plenty of other, cool fonts and things that we could, utilize and stuff. And I'm not going to be too picky on my smaller letter fonts. I'll kind of, decide what I want them to look like and everything. But I think kind of digging let me see here. Let me go down. See, the little swirly cues for the Morosa font doesn't fit. Um, the old Alfie doesn't fit. It's kind of viney. If I had some vines going on, that might be, something. But I got these tribal corners and all, so I want to kind of get that rage, right? The tiger rage. That might be too much. Let's see here. And this Viner hand could be pretty cool, kind of more of like a, like a scratching of the material and all. But I think I'm going to stick with the Brilliant. I kind of like that. So I'll stick with the Brilliant for this, but let's get the other font. So I'm going to start with is not the. Now these, because this font has to be all capitals, is not the, is caps. But when I change it, it's going to show up as I typed it, that's kind of in lowercase and all. So with this, I want to kind of create some, a little bit. I don't want to go like 100 different fonts in one sign. I just want those keywords: triumph, absence, courage, absence, triumph. I want those to stand out. So I want them to be a little bit different, and then the other words can kind of blend in. And by the way, for those of you that are new with the Vectric and everything, the fonts with the at sign in front of them, those are vertical typing fonts. They type in a vertical versus a horizontal position. Uh, in case y'all didn't, some of y'all might not have known that, and now you do. All right, let's go with. Let's pick our next font here. So I'm gonna go with. I want something that's got a little bit of a flow to it, um, but yet is not, uh, dull or what have you. Because I may change some things up. I may have the words curl and whatever. Who knows? We're gonna get there. Baskerville looks okay. Let's see here. What do we got? I don't want script on the regular words. So let's get away from the script. Cambria, kind of a decent font, but you see how it did the eye. I don't want it boxy. I got these nice flowing curves and lines and things, and even though tribal is kind of rigid and stuff, I don't want that box letter. So you could really spend, to get that nice little layout, you could spend hours doing it, but we're not spending hours, we're spending moments. So let me pick a font, let me settle on something, and we'll go with it. And I want it to be distinctly different than my other words. So I'm going to make this a not that short, uh, kind of where they're there, but they don't stand out that much in things, and that's too small, of course. So let's get back into there, and let's go with a 1-inch tall font. And do I want it bold? Not bold. Not bold. Not bold. There we go. All right, so let's get this into place. And on courage, let's go back up to that one because I would like that one to be bold. I want to kind of fatten up those letters a little bit and everything. And we might decide to move because courage, right? Courage, that's what this whole quote is about. We might decide to move the lion down a bit, or the tiger. Oh gosh, lion, not a lion. We might decide to, make courage really kind of be the center of attention, you know, which, could be pretty cool in itself. And it's all in that design phase. We'll figure it out. And it's all going to be based on the font I choose. I could, make it short and stubby. I could stretch it out. I could do whatever I want, but we're going to go with this normal font here and kind of lay out there. All right. Courage is not and let me take the rest of these, and I'm just going to use my down arrow key right now, and I'm just going to move them out of my way for a minute. You're like, holy cow, how are you going to remember where the words went? It's one of my favorite quotes, so I'll remember exactly where they go. All right, absence, right? So we have absence. And let's kind of pull this over. And, let's see how it's looking. If we stand back at the design, is it too much? Should we change absence and triumph, leave courage as that, and then change the font on this? You guys vote. Tell me now, if for absence and triumph, should we stick with the brilliant font or find something a little bit different to make those stand out different from each other? Now, I want to stick with my font here for my non-important words. Um, they're all important, or else it wouldn't make a sentence or a quote. But which is the Dubai medium. Dubai medium. So that's what I want for of fear. Let's go in here and I'm gonna hit the letter D on my keyboard to get me close. And we'll grab our Dubai medium there. Make that non-bold. And I'm gonna make that just a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna bring it up close to absence there. All right. And then but the okay. Again, I'm going to stick with my Dubai on that one. Like I said, I don't want 100 different fonts, um, but I do want my keywords to have some differences. And let's get over it moved over here. And let's get Triumph up in place. And now on absence, I'm going to go back to absence and make that bold as well. If I do use that font, I want it bold because it's already thin lines and things. So it's going to be, a bit of a shallow carving as it is. But I want that, those letters. Same thing with Triumph. I want that bold as well. But again, you guys vote. Thumbs up. And I'm back. Someone says. Even you all finally had time. Oh, hey, Mark Lindsay. Evening, y'all. Look at there. I'm Southern, and I actually said you all, even you all. Like I thought it was like even you all. Evening, y'all. Evening, Mark. How you doing, buddy? Y'all's like a common word here where I live, and I misspoke it. I could get kicked out of the redneck club for that. All right, let's see here. So let's stand back. Let's get over it. The font over it back. Dubai medium. All right. So let's get our sign into full view here and take a good look at it. And so what are we thinking? Because we still got to work on the text and get rid of the overlapping lines and all. But other than courage, I kind of like courage the way it looks. But absence and triumph. That's the two words. Keep the font or change it up and everything. Now, of fear, I don't want the word fear to have a capital F, so I'm going to come back over here to my text tool and fix that. Even though fear could in itself be kind of a key word, you know, I could capitalize it just to accentuate it some, capitalize the first letter or something, but in this case, I don't think it fits. But let's see here. Change it up. Triumph. Sylvia votes change it up. Leave the triumph. Okay, leave the triumph. Y'all spoken here to Southern Florida lady here. Well, welcome, Crystal, Southern Florida. I'm in Ocala. What parts of Southern Florida? Because I'm Central. So, well, we're still the South, right? You know, we're in Florida, so we're still the South. All right, so let's change it up a bit. Let's look at absence as a change up. And let's go down the list to the one that I saw in Word Market. You know, also, by the way, monotype Corsiva, for those of you as a basic font, is a really not for capital letters, not for all capital letters, but for, you know, regular letters and all. Monotype Corsiva is a really nice, elegant font to carve with, but not when you're doing all caps and things and all. So Poppins. No, Pop. Let's see here. Where is it at? Rochella script? No, that's too much. Let's see. Where was that at? Viner Hand. See, Viner Hand, you know, it's a cool font as a font. Like if I was writing a letter and all, but it is a crap font to carve because my bit is going to try to follow that text. And we have all these overlapping loops that we'd have to clean up and get rid of and everything. And it's a cool looking font. You know, if I was doing a poster to hang out, you know, to invite somebody to a Halloween party or something, pretty cool. But for carving, pretty shit. Excuse my French, but it's bad. So we're not using that one. You know, here, let's go back to Word Market real quick. And let's see what we got here. And Word Market right now is normally not this big, but I've got the settings on this screen set to 1280 by 720. So y'all can see the Vectric really well. And man, it's just like popping out on this screen. I like, you know, when I'm zoomed out, I could see everything kind of at a glance and stuff. Southwest LaBelle. I used to live in LaBelle. And I used to work in Clewiston. Yep. Very cool. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Long time ago. All right. So let's see what we got over here. We've got change it up. Yes, you do. Every video. Dean. Everybody's giving me a hard time. Okay, we got to make a decision here. We got to make a decision. And see, I've got the word in all caps. So what I'm going to do is absence, right? That's our word of the day. So let's change it up here. And I have it, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in all caps, but I'm sorry. And God, I hope did I spell that correctly? Hold on a second. ABSENCE. Yeah, I did. It looks weird in all caps. All right, so let's hit enter to lock that in. You're gonna be like, nope, you didn't spell that right at all. And let's make a decision here. I want something that like Art Brush might be pretty cool. Something that's got like Art Brush has some of those sharp lines like our tribal font. So Art Brush is a contender. It's on the lighter parts of the letters that might be a little wonky and stuff. And wonky is a word, guys. A little funky looking. Black River. No. Let me see here. And you guys, if you something pops out, I'm trying to go slow, but if y'all see something that pops out, let me know. But let's see here. Art Brush is a contender, and it's got to fit. It can't just be out there. Even though we want it to stand out, it can't be like totally unrelated to the sign. Footlight. Now, Footlight has more of a block font, but it has that kind of tribal edge. So that might be a good difference, but still have some of that flow. I don't know if you guys and girls can see that Footlight over here. I can't really zoom in any more than that. But Footlight MT is a big contender for kind of a block letter font. That'll really break it up from the rest of the sign. Footlight. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling fast, guys. I don't want to waste y'all's time. I think we're going to go with Footlight. Footlight. Sounds like an Indian name. My Indian name is Little Tree. For those of you that didn't care. Now, old Alfie, it's got those vinies. And again, if I was doing vines or if I was doing something kind of where old English, these type of fonts would fit. But I've got these tribal bands, and so I'm really kind of sticking myself to, Pristina. It's got a little bit of that, that Chinese kind of brush stroke going on there. Not necessarily Chinese, Oriental brush stroke, to be, I think that's the politically correct term, Oriental. Royal signage? Nope. All right. Footlight. I like Footlight. Let's vote on Footlight. Let's go Footlight. And I say let's vote on Footlight, and then I decide that's what we're gonna go with. Yeah. Wintix? Wintix Brosco? No. Footlight looks good. All right, so let's change that up to Footlight and see, and then we'll step back and see how that looks. And let's make it let's change up the size a bit. Let's go 1.5 and all. And let's zoom out for our full screen, right? Kind of stands out. It's a punch word, so it stands out. And absence is not, courage and triumph, right? Those are the two keywords: courage, triumph, right? Those are the keywords. Absence is basically we're talking about the definition here, and you're like, man, this isn't a language class, Laney, or anything. What are you trying to do? It's just the sign, man. Make the sign. But seriously, it's the two main words are courage and triumph, right? That's what this message I'm trying to convey is. So absence of fear, right? The word absence is a key word, but not as important as courage and triumph. So I think kind of making it stand out a little bit like that doesn't look too shabby. I don't know. You guys vote. You like it? I got a thumbs up there. Footlight. I like Footlight. Okay. Needs more flow to it, I think. All right, needs more flow. And that you're absolutely right. It could have more flow. And Crystal, define flow. Are you talking about like where the words have a little bit of a flow, a little distortion to them? Because I can get with that. I think that would look pretty cool. It needs more flow. That's a good terminology. Let me get him moved over a little bit, because if we're going to add flow, we need space. I'm moved over there. Absence. Let's distort absence. We got the font. Let's give it a little bit of distortion. So I'm going to distort it. And by the way, let's go back to where I was. Transform objects, distort, right? Distort. And I'm going to distort it in a bounding box. That's like putting the word inside of an envelope. And now whatever I do to that envelope, right, that word's going to adhere to it. So a little bit of flow. So that means that this top line here, we're going to convert that to a Bezier curve. And the bottom line, we're going to convert to a Bezier curve. And let's pull this out a bit. And let's curve this up. Don't worry, it looks like crap now, but we're going to fix it. Let's see if we can get things to distorting. Let's pull this up. All right. Should I went the other way? Should the CNCE be the lower part and ABS be the fatter part? Absence kind of flowing into that, because right now it's kind of screaming and all. All right. So I got some feedback here. Words need to have a little flow. I've got footlight. I've got maybe too many fonts going on. Yeah, could be busy and all. Right now, let's one word here. All right. So absence. Should absence with a little bit of flow to this word, should the flow be fatter on this end and thinner on this end, or is that flow working okay? And oops, let's close that tool. And let's see here. Flow. I am either I'm not creative right now, or I'm not seeing where I can put flow at right now. Let's see here. Absence is not. No, that's too much. We're getting silly now. Let's see here. Let's get courage centered up. Okay. Is not the. All right. Is not the. Where do we want is not the? Okay. Let's leave that there. All right. Now, we've got 3 fonts happening here. We've got the fonts for the non-critical letters, which is the Dubai font. We've got the Brilliant font. We've got the Footlight font and the Brilliant font. So, Triumph is, courage. That's our key phrase, and this is kind of the little. All right. Ooh, I got it. I see it. I can see it visually, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's make this a little bit smaller. Not much. Okay, I held the shift key down on that to bring this down a little bit smaller. Not a whole lot, but a little bit smaller. Oop, I went right back to where I was. I'm holding the shift key, and that keeps it centered right where it's at. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to back this up a little, and I'm actually going to take absence here, and I'm almost going to sit is not the down in that hump, and where absence is kind of flowing up into this area. Let's go back into our distort tool a minute. And I'm sorry, not our distort tool, our node editing now. It's already in the distort mode. So node editing. Let's get this. Bear with me a second while I make this happen. Is not the absence. Oop. That little tool is saying, hey, you're in node editing, and a font's not nodes. All right. Absence. Now, of fear is standing out a bit. Let's make that a little bit smaller and bring it down here. Absence being the, oop, Did I just rotate that? Do not rotate. All right, absence of here. But see, I could, kind of bring that under, kind of like this, but I want to I'm just going that back and forth, and that might not even look good. I'll let you guys go, man, that looks like crud, Lane. You can do better than that. And I want to make Triumph a little bit, stand it out a little bit. And my Tiger, I'll move him over. Okay. See how what I did here? The R kind of flowing with this, So it's I almost want to kind of I almost kind of want to blend it in like it's growing out of those vines, but no, we won't do that. Okay. All right. So we can't really tell anything right now, but let's carve this. Let's create a toolpath for this and see what we're at, what we're looking like, and things. So I'm going to select all this, and I'm going to come over and V-carve. Now I'm doing one toolpath just as a preview, but I'll most likely, depending on how light these areas are carving and how dark they are, I may create separate toolpaths to give some of them a little bit more of a start depth than others, to kind of work with. And I want you guys and girls to notice something. Absence is, broken up like individual vectors, but it's still in that envelope mode. If I tried to node edit this right now, it's going to show me that envelope. If I needed to work with these letters one at a time, then I would simply, get out of that tool and I would right click on absence and I would convert it back to curves. That will take it out of the envelope. And now I can work with the individual items, one at a time if I needed to or anything. So when it's in an envelope, when it's in that distortion envelope, um, if you're node editing or something like that and you're making adjustments and all, it's going to just adjust based on that envelope. But if you need it out of there, you just simply convert it back to curves. Okay. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to go into a V-carve toolpath. And for this V-carve toolpath, first thing I always do is I'm going to turn off flat depth. I'm just going to let it carve to its natural depth just to see what it looks like. And then if I need to add any flat depths or area clearance tools or anything like that, large area clearance tools, then I'll do that. My standard go-to bit for me is a 60-degree V bit. It kind of gives me that happy medium of depth of cut and the angle of the walls. So that's what I'm going to use. And I'm simply going to calculate this toolpath. And this is going to give us a visual on what it's going to look like. Now, you guys and girls may be seeing a lot of this pop up lately, especially in version 10, because it's really catching these things. The selected vectors may contain overlaps or intersections which lead to unexpected results, right? And what those overlaps are is, and I'm not going to continue anyway. I'm going to go to the vector validator. What those overlaps are the overlaps in my text. We haven't fixed that yet. And I'm very much aware we haven't fixed that yet because that's our next step. But that software is saying, hey, you have some overlapping lines. Do you want to go to your vector validator tool, which checks for potential problem issues, to point them out to you? Well, I don't need the tool to point it out to me because I can visibly see it. So let's fix that right now. So I'm going to select Courage, Triumph, and I'm going to weld those vectors together, and I'm going to replace. I don't need to keep the originals. I'm going to replace them. But I probably should keep the originals in case I want to change the font, right? So I'm going to keep them. Okay. And what that did now is all the pink that you see on the board right now, that's the new font, right? And it's not a font. That's the new vector that's all welded together. While it's still selected, I'm going to right click and move those to a new layer. And I'm going to call this layer my welded text. And we'll make it red, like a dark red. All right. And by doing that, what I've done is now I can separate my original text from my welded text. So I'm going to turn off the welded text, and this is my original text, my original font. So I'm going to take a moment, and I'm going to start to organize my sign now. Oops. Epson. You son of a gun. Get with it. And I'm going to move this over, move to a new layer, and I'm going to call this my original. Now, on the original text, I have, I'm going to cancel that. I don't want, hold on. This one and this one were the only two that I welded together. I'm going to move those to a new layer called original text. Only the ones I changed. I'm going to leave everything else where it's at. In case I want to go back to the bottom. And I'm going to turn off the visibility. So now I can come back in here and turn my welded text on, and I have all my lines that are overlapped and stuff. So it's, separated. If I need to go back and change the font because I don't like that or whatever, I simply come back into here, turn off the welded text, turn my original text back on, and go over and, do what I got to do with the font. You know what I mean? So, but in this case, we're going to turn that off, my original, and go back to here, and we're going to calculate this toolpath. Okay. Now, other than my text, because all my text is welded, there's no overlaps and anything in it, but it's saying, hey, there's still some overlapping lines and intersections that may cause a problem. And that most likely is going to be inside my tiger. So let's go to the vector validator and let's find out. So I'm going to hit select or search selected, and it's going to search everything. And it's my tiger and actually the H. A little bit of an intersection right here where this loop is. So I need to trim that loop away. So that's it for that. But the tiger, I've got these little intersections, this trash and stuff here. And that's what it's going to be. These are going to be little specks of trash, these overlapping lines. So very simple for me to see where the cluster is. And it's not a cluster F, it's a cluster. And all we have to do is go in here and we're going to ungroup it. And I'm simply going to come in and clean up this mess. So it's all these overlapping. These are pixels. When the image was traced and stuff, all these pixels and stuff. And the ovals technically aren't pixels, mostly just the ones that are square and figured 8 like this. But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all the little trash and stuff. And so I have them, on both ears. And then I have a concentration of them down here. Okay. And if I look at a glance right now, looking at this, can you identify the trouble areas? We have one here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here in the whiskers. And you can tell that your eyes will start to train by the darker areas. So as I zoom in, there's that trouble area. On the whiskers down here, on the whisker tips and everything, these darker areas, as I zoom in, your eyes will start to pick up those things even at a distance and all. So I don't necessarily, I like the fact that the vector validator shows me where the problems are so I can then kind of focus in on them. But when you close that vector validator tool to clean it up, all those little identifying marks where the trouble is goes away. So you got to kind of remember where they were, at least where the cluster of them were and stuff. And what you want to do is you want to train your eyes. So focus in here for a moment. You see these dark tips right here? So those dark tips are those bad notes, those bad vectors and all. And pretty soon, at a glance, you'll be able to identify, trouble areas and everything. So we have one more up here. That's kind of a round one. We'll get rid of him anyway. But, you know, your eyes will start to, adapt to it over time. And now, and mind you, if you don't do it every day, then it's not, your eyes aren't going to adapt to it. And you're not going to see it as well as if you do it every day. I do this 24/7 all day long with every single digital woodcarver customer. So we're easily, it's something that, it picks up. And when you're standing at a distance here, you can't see crap. All you see is there, Laney, all that's dark over there. Is it all bad? No, that's the lines that are close together, our small fonts and everything here. It's as we zoom in, we can see that it's hard for you guys to see on the screen. I wish you could see it, but it's a dark dot right on the end there. And anyway, enough about that. Let's get this done, Laney. Lord have mercy. We don't need a lecture. Okay. Let's see here. Identify. There's some right there. And I'm just hitting the delete key on the keyboard after I, select them. I'm just hitting the delete key on the keyboard to get rid of them. Okay. And, the ones that are figure eights and things, the ones that are figure eights and stuff, that's the ones those are the overlaps that the software is picking up, and giving me trouble warnings and all. And so with what we've just cleaned up, if we selected everything again and went back to our vector validator, now let's fix our H real quick. Remember the H. We have a loop right here. Okay. And on our H, my original text is turned on. Let's turn that off. And let's go into our H here. Zoom, zoom, zoom. All right. Notice that it's separate. I can select on it and it's separate. So the line is looping here, but it's a completely separate vector, but the software picked it up anyway. And if I tried to use my scissor tool on this, it's going to cut that away, but if it were a loop, if it were a true loop, but I'm clicking right now and it's not going away because it's not intersecting. It's not technically intersecting with anything. So all I have to do is select that and just simply, and if we zoom in, it's kissing right here, but it's not really intersecting. So I'm just going to delete that and get rid of it. It doesn't need to be there anyway. It's just trash. So if we select this back and go to our vector validator and say, okay, search the selected, we'll see how well we did here. It's going to search everything. And so I caught majority of them except for 10. There is one there that I didn't go back and get. We have one up here. Now this one is, again, one of those little specks. We've got one here, one on his eyelid or eyebrow, and one over here. So we've only got, just a few little ones to clean up, but no other identifying areas. So we'll just take a quick second and clean that up. And this one is actually kind of overlapping. So if I come in here and you can see it's overlapping and all, so that's definitely why that's picking that one up. But let's get his eyelid right there. Let's get over here on his ear. And looking rather quickly, don't see anything anymore there. Right here. We got his eyelid already, so somewhere down here, take a quick look. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? Right there. And I know you guys like, dude, my screen is so small on my computer, I can't see anything that you're showing me right now. And we've got 3 right here. That's kind of our 3 main areas, main ones that were causing us trouble. And looking, scanning, nothing. Over here, that's his, his little whiskers and all that stays. Right here. All right. Let's see how we did one last time with our vector validator tool. Search the selected area. And right here, I missed 2 of them right there. So that's fine. Good. We'll just select that and hit delete and done. All right. So now everything should be hunky dory. It should search through that with no zero length spans, no overlaps, no intersections. Okay. Zero length spans, by the way, guys and girls, is when you're looking in node editing. Stop. When you're looking at node editing here, um, it's basically a line, arc, or curve where there's two nodes on top of each other, and there is no line, arc, or curve in between them. They're just piled on top of each other. That's a zero length span. And there is a button that clears those up. So there's a button down here that when you click that, it removes all of them. Which, thank God there's that button, because, oh my goodness, could you imagine? All right, let's get back to our design and let's actually calculate this toolpath for once. And we should have no errors now, and it should go right into our toolpath preview. Awesome blossom. All right, for those of you that are new to Vectric, in the toolpath preview, what you're seeing is the toolpath lines and paths. The blue areas are the areas that are getting carved. The red lines that you see, that's where the router is traveling. That's its highway. It's traveling from one place to another, from one starting point to the next. And the green lines are where the router are raising up and down. So the blue are the carving areas and all. So what you're looking at right now is a toolpath preview, and this is considered a visible, I stuttered there, a visible toolpath, meaning that it's checked off. Okay. You have three buttons over here, and people, I see when they're first starting, they kind of struggle with this. They have three buttons: preview selected toolpath, preview all toolpaths, and preview visible toolpath. Visible toolpath means that it's checked and you can visibly see the toolpath over here. Selected toolpath means that the toolpath is highlighted and selected. All means every toolpath that's in this list, which we only have one, it's going to show all of them. Okay. So in this case, it's selected. So I'm going to preview selected toolpath. All right. So we got our carving coming in. Nice, good depth and definition. I can tell from the carving and all on those fonts. I'm going to like the way this looks, especially when it's painted and stuff. And I don't know if I'm going to do multicolor paints or single color. I think for time's sake, we may do a single color. But I think Courage is going to be a different color than the rest. I haven't decided that yet. We're going to do that in the shop, in the shop. But man, good depth and definition out of the Tiger. Good depth and definition on the letters and all. So the 60-degree V-bit for this size sign did really well. Now, if I wanted to break this up into colors, like right now, if I choose global fill, I am stumbling on my words today. If I choose global fill, then I am basically filling in the entire design with whatever color is chosen. Okay. So whatever color that I pick from my, color file here, that's the global fill. Okay. I'm just filling in everything. All right. If I wanted to break the design up into individual colors, for just my own purposes, so I could kind of play around and see what colors would look good and what colors wouldn't, then I could create individual toolpaths, getting me to the same result, but now I have individual toolpaths that I could assign a color to. And so if I did that, it would look something like this. On the VCarve 1 here that I have, I'm just going to make that all of the corners. Okay. So I'm just going to calculate that for all the corners. All right, let's reset this back to a blank board. Courage, I know I want courage as a separate word, a separate color and all. So I'm going to select it by itself, and I'm going to create a toolpath just for it. Same tools and parameters. I'm just literally creating, and I could give it a name like courage, whatever. It's just I'm creating different kind of like for myself different toolpath layers, if you will. Not layers. That's a bad word to use because it'll get you confused with these other layers. The tiger. So while I've got courage, I'm going to group that back together. So that way I can select tiger here, and I'll group him back together too. For him, let's go V-carve toolpath. And again, I'm just calculating, and I'll call this one Tiger. This is not a requirement, by the way. It's not necessary, but it just helps with your wanting to, like if I was doing this sign for a customer and I wanted to break it up into the way it was getting painted for them and stuff, I could do that. I could uh, break everything up. And then courage. Do I want courage and triumph to be the same color? Probably so. I don't want to. I'm not going to paint this 100 different colors. I think courage is just going to have one color, and everything else is going to be a different color. So we'll just calculate the rest of this stuff. Our toolpath, and I'll just call this text. All right, so now I have all of these individual toolpaths, and if I break this out by double-clicking, by the way, by double-clicking on the word toolpaths, it breaks out the toolpath menu here. By breaking this out, I have these 4 toolpaths that are going to give me the same exact sign. If I were to right now preview all the toolpaths, I'm going to get the same looking sign. I didn't change anything. I just separated things. Let that carve out. And after this preview of colors, we're going to stop and take questions because I see some people going. Now, Tippy, all right. Tippy Looter says that he leaves the vector validator open. It shows him where those is a little easier. Now, Tippy, I thought the vector validator had to be closed in order to edit the text and all that stuff, that tool had to be closed because we're, going into node editing or we're going into this or going into that. So I want to test that theory just to see because that'd be cool if it's open. All right. All right. Now I have these individual, text and stuff or, toolpaths. Now I can add some color to them. So my tiger, I'm going to go to toolpath color with him selected. And I'm going to give him a color. So we'll give him kind of a, I don't know. I like Siberian tigers. We'll give him kind of an ash gray color. The word courage, right? I don't have to check it. I can just select it. We'll give that a color of red, right? My 4 tribal bands, the 4 tribal bands here, we can give them a color. Let's go with kind of a, I don't know. I'm just showing the, let's see here. Let's go with a, freaking, what would I actually paint it? Brown. I don't know. And the other text, we're just going to go with a black. The tiger, let's let him stand out a little bit. Let's give him we'll make him an orange tiger. Nah. Yeah. Make him a Siberian tiger. All right. So basically, now I'm able to, where's my V-carve? These are a little too close to the word courage. Let's change them up. I'm going to go into more colors, and I'm going to pick more of a brown. Let's customize that. Let's really kind of darken that brown up. There we go. All right. So, if I was painting the sign, which I'm not painting this sign to look like that, it doesn't look good and all. But if I were, that's how I could break up the individual toolpaths so I could add colors to them so I can visualize my project and kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like and stuff and all. And in this case, I'm not doing it that way and all. Courage is going to have a different color than the rest of the design. The rest of the design is going to be one color and courage is going to be something different. But I could, with multiple projects and all, I could have that requirement where I'm going to be painting things different, labels or whatever it is. And it's the way to break it up. And it's the same toolpaths. I just broke them up. Instead of doing it as one, I just broke them up. So just for the sole purpose of being able to add a color to that toolpath so I could visualize it. That's it. All right. So let's zoom in here. Let's get this over full size like that there for y'all. And we're going to bring me back into the mix here. And let's see what we've got. As for colors, orange and black. Orange and black. So where, I'm assuming that what would you do? Would orange be the text or the tiger and black be the text, or would it be vice versa? You tell me. Let's roll back up here and let's see if I've got any questions that I missed. The font website. The font website. Bobby Boy asked, "Hey, what was that font website? Where it shows your fonts?" That is wordmark.it. Wordmark, mark.it. Word Market. Okay. And what Word Market is, it helps you choose your fonts. And so, if I were to add that or bookmark that, it even says Word Market helps you choose fonts. And I could bookmark that to go back to. Now, as far as a website or a site to find fonts, my go-to everyday site is dafont.com. Font.com. I love dafont.com. Thousands of free fonts for both personal and commercial use. The contributors that create the fonts do a great job. They're really nice and clean. And it's where a majority of my fonts come from and everything. And when when you pick a category or whatever, it might be and stuff, what you want to do is under more options, you want to click on the 100% free and it'll show you the personal and non-commercial use or personal and commercial use license fonts. And if I were to type in the word courage, didn't do all capitals, but I could hit submit and it'll show me those fonts, in that category and stuff. And there's pages and pages, and all you have to do is download it. Once it's downloaded and installed, Bad Boys, that's a pretty cool font. Once it's downloaded and installed, then the Vectric software will recognize it. But there's tons and tons. Dafont.com, DAFONT.com, which is great. The font, man. The font. Let's see here. What do we got? So hopefully that answered your question, Bobby. Debbie says too many fonts, too many fonts. So we've narrowed it down. Now you really can't tell that the word absence is any more different of the fonts of the regular words than anything. It looks like only triumph and courage kind of stand out. But yeah, and that's the thing. We could come in and just standardize the fonts where it's just one font and all except for our keywords or something, which is what I did. But maybe adding in that third font was a little much. Who knows? But and that's where and I'll make this design available to you guys and girls. I'll make this file available in the description of the video, and y'all can play with it. You'll get the tiger and this quote and everything. But we're gonna actually carve this in the shop. Let's go down and where do you get those fonts? I love them. Sylvia, dafont.com. Let's see here. Dean says, for me, the four corners, the tiger head, and the word courage are keepers. The rest, nah. He's knocking my favorite quote. All right, that's okay. I'm just kidding you. The quote's probably good. He's just probably talking about the font, right? He's not. That's funny. Just put the word courage in a box so it'll be raised up. Oh, that's an interesting one. Put the word courage in a box so it'll be raised up. So that way it really kind of stands out and everything. So for those of you that don't know, if you outline a design and you put a boundary around it, it creates the reversed effect. It carves around your object and leaving that object raised. So that could be pretty cool too. We'll do that here in a second. That's a good thing. We'll see what that looks like. Looks too blocky. Bryn says looks too blocky. And it probably is, it probably does. It probably is blocky and everything. not the best designer in the world, guys, but you're hurting my feelings. No, I'm just kidding. That's what it's all about. Looks too bloggy. So, yeah, it might, it could be the borders, right? It may look a lot better without the corner borders in there. It could be just the way it's laid out, could give it that too blocky look and everything. But I do like what Camara said. I do like the idea of like having the word raised up and stuff. That'd be pretty cool. We'll check that out here in a second. Let's see here. Let's go down and see if there's any questions. As far as colors, orange and black, and never mind the way you have it look right now. Thanks, Crystal. She's like, never mind, orange or black. Let's see here. That's crazy. I didn't care for it the first look. Now it's fantastic. All right, I redeemed myself with Dean. Dean said that's crazy. I didn't care for it at first, but now it looks fantastic. How much do you want for it? Huh? Dane, the file is free. So at the end of the video, this file, this Vectric VCAR file, is going to be available for download in the description of the video. So you'll be able to actually download it, and you can change it up however you want, and everything. And I'm gonna make these two words here. I'm gonna make them uh, vectors, so that you don't have to have that same font. It'll be there if you want to use that, but if you want to change it up, you'll just retype it and change it to whatever font you want, and all. But this file will be available to you. And that's right. Thanks, Dean. I appreciate it. No, it's free, Dean. Look at there, man. Free. All right, let's see here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Got a big old high five. Really enjoy this thing. All right. Wouldn't change a thing. Cool. Wouldn't change a thing. All right. So let's change one thing real quick. We're going to come back to this. So we have this design, and that's the wonderful thing about designs. We can do it 100 different ways, and we got the toolpaths. We can save it a million different ways. But let's change up the word courage for a second, just by a simple enclosure, giving it that raised effect. The word courage. Now, in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tiger, and I'm going to give my word courage some room here. So I'm going to bump the tiger down a little bit. I'm going to take triumph, and I'm just going to pull triumph in and down a bit, so it's not so close to the tiger. Absence is the fear, but I'm just going to simply bump that down and over a little. And that way I can bring courage down just a tad. A tad. Using all these key words, these important words. And I have two choices here on the word courage. One, I could put a rectangle around it, have it stand out. Or two, I could do an offset, and offset outward 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, whatever. Let's do a 1/8 of an inch, and we'll create sharp corners. And let's take a look here. Nope. I want it. I don't want the lines dipping down like that. I want it more of an outline. So let's go 1/4 of an inch. This will make sense in a minute. Okay. So we have more of that outline and things. The only thing that's kind of not is this U, but we're going to clean that up. All right. So on this, we got a loop to clean up there too. We could do the word like this, and I could turn off this outside border by deselecting it and then deleting the rest. I don't want any of that. Just all I want is this outside border. Now on the outside border here, the only thing that I would change on the outside border is on this U. I wouldn't have it come down like that. So I'd go into node editing, and I'm going to right click and delete this span and this span. Actually, I'm an idiot. This span up here, delete that one. I'm not an idiot. Delete that span, and I'm going to rejoin that with a straight line. Not that way. I got to delete this guy down here. Get rid of him. Please. Now, I'm going to rejoin this back together with a straight line. Okay, just going to give it that block. Over here, got to take my scissors and trim away that. and we could have, an outline. Oh, got a little bit of trash over here. Scissors and trim that away. Okay. And if I wait a minute, my G, I got to get rid of, I don't want any of that inside the G. Don't want none of that. So let's go, don't want none of that. That was good English. I do not want any of that. So I'm going to delete this span here, just basically cutting it apart. And I'll take this and join this with a straight line here in a second. Let's take this and delete all of that. And then I'm just going to take this and join with a straight line. All right, that's all. I just want kind of creating an outline here. All right. Courage. Let's fix that one too, since I'm going that way. I'm going to take right here. I'm just going to cut the vector here, and I'm going to delete this span. That basically is kind of a way of cutting. And that way I can delete this section up here. And then once again, I'm going to join this with a straight line. Okay. Just a little bit of an outline. Or I could go with a simple rectangle. But now by doing that, if I come in here to the word courage and I select this, by creating this outline, I've now created two lines that it's carving between. So it's going to carve around the letters in all of these areas and leave those letters raised. And so I want to definitely do a flat depth here. And I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to definitely want to use a flat area clearance tool. Now, this is some small lines and stuff. I don't know if my 1/8 inch end mill can fit in there. I have a 16th that I could use, but I'm going to start off with the 8th just to see if where it'll get me. Because wherever it can't fit, the V-bit will take over and do that. So with that, if I recalculate this and everything, and I reset this back to a blank board, now remember I moved all my text around, right? So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use this calculator. And why are y'all looking at me? I'm going to use this calculator over here and recalculate all the toolpaths because I moved them around. Remember, I moved all the vectors and everything. All right. And let's give her a go. Let's see what it looks like. Preview the visible toolpath. We'll preview all. And you can see the heavy blue areas in that toolpath preview that we were just looking at. That's why all those areas are going to get flattened out. It looks like crap now, but hold on. I'm not done coloring it in. Let it finish up. Now, Eli asks, do you make your wood blanks? Do I make my wood blanks? Yes. I, whenever I need to or whatever, I go down to Lowe's and Home Depot and all and buy woods. But I have a exotic and hardwood dealer that I go to, who's a sawmill, that I go to buy my hardwoods, walnuts, maples, mahoganies and things like that, my exotics and stuff. But I also have tree services that drop off logs on the property, and then I take those logs to a sawmill to get milled up, and then I air dry them to utilize and carve and stuff. Then I cut them down and clamp them and all that wonderful stuff. All right, now on my clearing toolpath, there's no color in the clearing right now, so I need to add a color to that, and I'm going to match the color up with the word courage and all. And may not look as good or whatever, but I just wanted to show the effect of having the letters raised. And let's turn off the color so you can see it as it is, where the word letters raised. Now I could have simply just put a box around this and had the word courage raised up, but I didn't want to do a box because then it would look too blocky. So by outlining it and everything, and did I not add the color to you? By outlining it and stuff, uh, we get that. Now, in these areas here where you see the tool marks, the VBit does a very good job of flattening the areas out, but the software is going to show where those tool marks are. So these are all the areas that my 1/8 inch end mill could not fit. So the VBit has to take over, and it has to flatten those areas out. And the software's got to show us where those areas are. So you're going to see these little tool marks and things. But the VBit actually does a pretty decent job of flattening those areas out. But just by outlining that text, we've created a completely different look, which it's not a look that I would go with. I'd go back to the original, uh, personally, but we get that raised effect. Now, if I laid this sign out completely different, right, where it didn't have this tribal borders on, it had the word courage and absence and triumph, and maybe those were raised up and carved around, and they were more square instead of flowing, more of a standardized font or something, even, something like this, then I could see how that could pop, where those letters are raised. I saw a sign, I went into a pizza shop, and I can't remember the name of the pizza shop, but it's where you make your own, in DC. But they had this sign hanging on the wall that is just absolutely awesome. It was their block sign, and it was talking about their pizza and everything, but one word was raised up and carved out, the other one was V carved in. Another word, another sentence was raised up, V carved in. And the way that sign was blocked and laid out and everything, it looked just totally awesome. And I snapped a photo of it, and I'm like, man, I'm going to do that one day. And I lost that photo, so I don't remember what it looks like. And I'm not up in Washington, so I can't go back there. But you know, but there's a lot of different ways. Now, I'm not a big fan of the way that looks, but let's zoom in here to full screen, and let's get back to um, full view. And I don't know, y'all tell me. Um, I'm not a fan of it. It looks cool. Maybe a different color. Here, let's see what it would look like black, like all the other text. Let's pop in here because maybe it's the red that's throwing me off. Let's change that to black, and uh, you know, could be something. But we're not doing that. If you don't mind, we're not going to carve it that way. For the project, I just wanted to show you guys and girls how you could approach that. And it's basically just putting an outline around. And you could have done a box square. I could have squared that off, But we're gonna discourage that, or not discourage. We're gonna get rid of that and go back to our normal no flat depth, no flat area clearance tool. Calculate, and let's reset and preview all the toolpaths once again. Oh, no, what I want to do actually more than that. I want to kind of put it back where it was. Let's stop that. This little stop button down here will stop that mid carve. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to actually use the undo button. Undo. And I'm going to just keep hitting that undo button. Keep hitting that undo button to get everything kind of back where it was. Okay. And now I'm going to come in and recalculate that toolpath. And I'm also going to come back into my calculator tool because I just made all those changes again, right? And recalculate all the toolpaths. All right. Back to the way you had it. That's right. I liked it the way I had it. All right. So here's our design. We're going to now save the toolpaths, and then we're going to talk about carving it. Preview all the toolpaths. We're going to look at the time that this is going to take because time is going to be important for our next class. I got to figure out how we're going to carve this. I don't have a water cooled spindle, so the ladder's out, so it's going to be muted. Um, what I'm thinking about doing is kind of a little bit of movie magic. to where we have our blank board. We take and put the aura mask on. We start the carving just to get the concept, let it carve a little bit, so it's not running long, but already have a second project board waiting to be painted. And so we can go right into the finishing. A little bit of movie might have a pre-readied prop, but I do want you guys to see the setup, the carving. I want you to see some of the carving, but it all depends on how long this thing is going to cut. Because I have a feeling right now this is going to be a good 45 minutes. And you don't want to sit there and watch a router run for 45 minutes. That would be boring for y'all. Especially if you got bad. You're like, I could watch my own CNC for 45 minutes, man. Let's close this. Let's get back into our word courage here. And let's let that stand out a little bit. Okay. All right. So our design is finished. But one thing, I was waiting for someone to say, man, you better do this. You better do this. But nobody said it. Save right here at the top of my project. See, it says new. I haven't saved any of this stuff. So if my power would have went out or anything like that, I'd have lost it all, right? So do not do what I do. Save early and save often, ladies and gentlemen. Save early and save often. So let's not there, you don't. Did you see what I just did? Almost created a new folder in the wrong place. Okay, I want to go to my documents, CNC jobs. I'm going to just call this courage, because that is the theme of the day. And all right, so it should say courage up here. All right, so we've saved it now. Now we got to save the toolpath. Saving your design and saving your toolpaths are two different things. So over here in the save toolpath, now all of these tools, all of these toolpaths use the same tool. So I can select all of them and output them all out as to one file because they all use the same tool. So the toolpath to be saved are going to be all these as one. And so I'm going to save these. I'm inside my job folder here. Now, I don't know how you all name your toolpaths and everything, but here's how I name mine. So my toolpath has a number, what order it runs in, because yes, we have only one file for this project that we're running, but this could have been, I could have had 4 toolpaths. I could have had 10 for this project. I could have had whatever. And so it always gets a number, what order it's running in. That follows by the size of the board. So this board is 23.5 wide by 16 inches, or long by 16 inches wide, by 3/4 inches thick. And then I have the name of the sign, the project name. And then I follow that with the router bit information. So this is a 60 EEG bit. Okay. So I know when I go out to my machine and I open up this job folder that this is the first file that I run, this is the size board I should have on my table, and this is the bit that I should have in my router or my spindle to run the job. And so that's how I break up my names and everything. And it's helpful, especially when you have, 10, 5 toolpaths, anything more than 2 toolpaths, it's good to know which one to run first, which one to run second, which one to run third, and things like that. All right, so we've saved our toolpaths. This design is complete, right? So the next phase of this is going in and, carving it. Where we now, we're going to go to the shop and carve. So the question of the day. Oh, one thing real quick. Tippy just popped up and reminded me of something when I saw him pop back up. He said that he leaves his vector validator open, and I'm going to create an error here. I'm going to create an overlap, like an actual overlap. Okay. Now, I'm going to select all this. And he says he leaves his vector validator open while he's correcting the issue. And now, if my vector validator is good, I should have found that error that I just created right there. So now, you leave this open while you come over and work on that. Nice. So now, what if I had an overlap that I had to go into node editing? Let me see if I can go into node. If I hit the letter N on my keyboard to go into node editing, the tool's open and I'm in node editing. I can play around with it. Ooh, that's cool. Okay. I thought the tool had to be closed. So very good, Tippy. Good tip. So it and that intersection is gone away now. It's just because the tool, if I searched it all again. Oops. Get out of your node editing there, tool there, buddy. If I searched it all again, there'd be none. But that's nice. I didn't think it could be open while you were cleaning up and finding those errors and all. So that's good to know. So I'm glad that Tippy shared that information because even I learned something there. All right, awesome, blossom. Okay, back to where we were. So now for me, I use a controller software that runs my machine called Planet CNC TNG, the next generation. And if I turn on my icons, my desktop icons, you'll see all my icons pop up here. And I run a 2440. So if I open this up, now you know why I hide my icons. Messy. But this is the controller program that we use a digital wood carver to run our machine. And so the only thing now that's left to do is when we're actually out at the machine in the shop, after we get our board prepped and everything, is to, come in here, open up our toolpath file. So if I go into my documents, CNC jobs, courage, my toolpath file, that's going to open up the G code. And our post processor, like many others, for those of you that use other machines, mostly your post processors do as well. But up here at the top right, it gives us some file information, details. It gives us the name of the file and the date it was created. It tells us our material size here, let's move this over a little bit more, where we're touching off our Z, material surface, where we're starting our XY datum, our home start position, and also, it tells us the name of our toolpaths here, and then the bit that we're using. And then it goes into the coordinates, for running and all. So this is the program that we're going to be using to carve. And, we'll go through setting up the board, get the aura mask on. We'll put the aura mask on. We'll get the board clamped down. All this will be live on camera. We'll walk through each of the steps and we'll carve. Now, as far as the carving and the carving time on this particular carving, based on my tools and my settings and everything, this carving is going to be 1 hour and 36 minutes long. And I'm not going to run for 1 hour and 36 minutes. That would be the most boring video that y'all have ever watched. So what we will do is we will carve part of the sign. And if we look at the breakdown of this, the main part of the text is about 17 minutes. The word courage is 5 minutes. The borders are going to be about 33 minutes. And then the tiger itself is going to be about 40 minutes to carve. And the we'll probably do the word courage at 5 minutes, and then some of the text at 17 minutes and everything. but we'll actually have a finished sign. We'll have a finished project. I'll have one that I've already carved with the Ori mask and everything that we can take to paint. And we'll do the painting and the peeling and see how we come out with. So I don't want it to be a long, boring event, but I do want, for those of you that have been asking me, hey, can we take the project to finish? Can we like, now that you've saved the toolpaths, what's next? And I'm going to take you out to my shop and I'm going to show you what's next, you know. And it's probably going to be, it's not going to be too exciting, but what day do y'all want to see that? Thursday or Friday? Let's see here. Oh yeah. Y'all are having your own conversation. That's funny. I was like, what's a Roomba? What let's lead back to the Roomba. And y'all were talking about watching your CNC run, amusing. I love watching the CNC run and stuff, but wouldn't be too entertaining. But then y'all were talking about Roomba. I think Dean somebody came back with a comment, I like watching my Roomba run. That's funny. That's good that y'all are entertaining yourselves and all that good stuff. But so right now as far as this goes, we're at a Q&A time. Questions and answers. If y'all want to ask any questions, we're actually not too bad. We only 7:15 to 8:58. We're about an hour and 30 minutes in. That's a lot shorter than, so we're going to probably say about 9:15 we're going to call it. So another 15 minutes or so. And then I need to know Thursday, same time, same channel, or Friday. And if y'all are like, man, Friday I got my date night going on. Where are y'all going? Y'all supposed to be home. Social distance. I'm just kidding. But be like, man, it's my Netflix night. Yeah, watching that. We're in shelter in this state. Yeah. Thursday. Michael Pearson prefers Friday. So fun Friday. Whenever. Any day, no place to go. Any day, Thursday. So Thursdays are kind of hitting it. I'm gonna have to go back through y'all's chat and see. Fun Friday. That's what everybody else is saying, Crystal. Fun Friday. It's not watching a CNC carve, man. Fun Friday. I'm playing game night or something. It's Fortnite time. We're gonna play video games all night. Any day. All right, good. So what I'll do is, because I gotta put the post out, I gotta schedule the next class and put the post out and everything. Oh, would no, that would make it a 3-parter. I was about to say we could do Thursday. Y'all could spend the week with me, and we could do Thursday. We could do prep and clamp and start to carve, and Friday we could do paint and finish. To break it up. But I'll say we'll figure out what we're gonna do. But Thursday might be a good night. Is 7 p.m. a good time for you guys and girls? Imagine if we set up and carve. We'll probably finish around about this time, 9 o'clock, and everything. Paint dries fast. I'll make it dry fast. But we can have a discussion. We can answer questions about the CNC machine. My shop is not immaculate enough for a full shop tour. I'll do that. It's a very small shop. It's a very humble small shop right now. So, but I'll be able to show you a little bit, but it's not going to be a full shop tour. seven works. All right. Jim says that sounds cool. A 2-parter. 7 works. Awesome. Let's do it. All right. So right now I'm saying Thursday would be good. But do it. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of do-its. Just do it. Do it, man. Do it. Am I getting the do-its? Are these do-its based on the comment that I made about the 2-parter thing where we do Thursday carve kind of thing, or set up and carve, and then Friday a paint and finish type of deal? Or were y'all just saying do it Thursday's fine, whatever, we'll do it all then? Let me know. Let's make it 2 days. Jeff says let's make it 2 days. 5. Have you talked about 710? Have we talked about 710? 710. I always start at 7:15 because starting right at 7, right at that hour, I'm never ready at 7. So it's like 7:15. That gives me that. I don't know why I started an odd hour. Um, you know, do it a two-parter. Do it a two-parter. Okay, I'm gonna do it a two-parter, and if some of you, it's all recorded, right? So if some of you can make it one night but not the other, we'll do a two-parter. That'll kind of break things up. That way we can spend some time finishing, with the different colors and everything, and talking about CNC and stuff in the shop. We might be able to break it in. So let's do that. Let's do 7 o'clock Thursday. We're gonna do prep of the material. We're gonna do the application of the aura mask, get it clamped down, and get the carving started. Then Friday at 7, we'll come back and finish it. We'll paint it and everything. And if you guys and girls can join me on one day or both days, awesome. If you can join me on one day, great. Just know that you're not going to miss out on anything because it's all recorded. So you'll be able to come back and watch it at a later point. But that might be cool to break it up. And let's see how that goes, let's see it all the way through and show you how I would finish. All right. Awesome. All right. 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Don't be late. And we'll go from there. All right. So hopefully I got a good thumbs up on all of you guys and girls. If you liked the design, definitely give me a thumbs up. If you're first time being here and you liked this video, definitely subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff that those YouTubers tell you every day. And something I'd like to announce. This is not really an official announcement, but I used to, many of you may or may not know that I have another YouTube channel, which is my main YouTube channel, where I teach woodworking. I teach other things. I teach shop projects, hand tool techniques. I teach woodworking, how to build things. And I've been doing that since 2010. I stepped away from that. That channel has 104,000 subscribers. And I stepped away from that channel when I took an actual job a while back for family reasons and stuff. And I never, when I came back to YouTube, I came back to CNC, right? SpindleTV and teaching, CAD CAM design. And now this in the shop segment is, bringing me back into the shop to, start carving and everything on the CNC. But I'm actually going to be back to, getting back to making regular woodworking videos too. Those are not live videos. They're recorded and everything. And so if you've never been over to my main channel, it's my name, Laney Shaughnessy. I'll type in the link in the chat box here. But it's let me type it in real quick. And I'll be posting videos there again for how to build things. And the first project I think I'm building is actually a cradle. My friend of mine, his daughter's having a baby, and he wants me to design and build a cradle that has a chair in it so she can rock the baby to sleep and be in the rocking chair at the same time. So it's going to be a kind of one of those multi combinations. And so that might be one of my first projects and all. But youtube.com/C/Laney Shaughnessy. That's my other YouTube channel. There hasn't been a video posted on it since 2016. So everybody, all my 104,000 subscribers over there keep asking me every day if I'm coming back, and so I am. So I'll be back there. So if you ever get curious and want to learn woodworking aside from CNC, because I keep CNC separate from my main channel. My main channel, you will not see CNC projects or anything on there. It's just because it's strictly woodworking. But I'll be back to making that as well. And so this is kind of my little announcement that I'm coming back to my regular woodworking and all. So if you're ever curious, check out that channel as well. I do shop projects, outdoor projects, how to build picnic tables, how to build, jigs for your table saws and other tools, and how to build hutches and dinettes and all kinds of stuff. How to turn. Can't do how to turn anymore. When I got my fourth axis on my CNC, I gave a buddy of mine my lathe, and he's using it very well. It was a gift to him, and so I don't have a lathe anymore. I got my fourth axis, but we'll do that. Let's see here. In the description of the video, let me see. I'm missing a lot of questions. Um, I think I forwarded the free file. Oh, looking forward to the free file. Where is that again? Okay, this file here. So we've got it saved. All right, it's going to be in the description of the video on YouTube. So let me open up a YouTube. We might get feedback if I open up YouTube, but hold on a second. Let me see if I can. Dadgummit. Dadgummit. In the description of the video, if I go to YouTube. My internet's slow today because I'm streaming. Load. You're like, what's he watch? What's he watch? Because all my recent searches and all that recommendations and all come up. What's he look at every day? Let's see here. Spindle TV. I'm into the police channel, self-defense channels, and guitars and singers and all that stuff. So it's kind of a real mix of all types of videos. Spindle TV. All right. And by the way, I'm at on this new channel here, which is great. I'm at 3,000 and a quarter subscribers. Yeah, building up. Not bad for being only on, with this channel. Thank you all for that. All the subscribers thank you for that. That's not bad. I'm hoping to build it up to, a few 100,000 subscribers like my other channel. And my other channel, I'm looking to build that up to a few million. I'll be happy with that. But all right, so right here is our live video, right? And if I click on this, I don't want to get feedback. Let me hit mute and pause real quick. God, it's slow. Click on this. I don't want to get feedback. Let me hit mute and pause real quick. That was like deja vu. All right. Anyway, in the description of the video down here right now, it's not in there, right? But in this description, there's going to be an option that says show more. You'll click on that and the link for the file will be there. I'm going to clean up the file, get all the toolpaths named properly and everything, clean up the file and all. And as soon as this class is over here in the next few minutes, I will post that up. And so it'll be posted literally within the next 20 minutes. This one's going to be pretty easy to clean and get uploaded, but it'll be in the description. It'll say show more and the link for your download will be there. Okay. All right, let's get out of that. Just looking at myself here. Okay. And let's get back to here. All right. Let's see here. Beers. Thanks for the beers there, George. All right, I'm looking forward to it. Where's the file again? Dean, it's going to be a VCarve file, Dean. It's going to be a digital woodcarver VCarve file, CRV file. And for those of you that are not working in version 10 and still are in 9 and 9.5, you'll have all the vectors. So you will have a DXF file in that file that you download with the design that you can just import that entire vector in with this layout and stuff and create your toolpaths and everything. For those of you that are in older versions of the software and are not in the VCarve software 10. And Yeah, Ronnie, the group, just I'm reading off comments and everything. Ronnie Probert, the group is for digital woodcarver customers only. So if they have a digital woodcarver machine, they can get into the group. Unfortunately, if they don't, it's the group's permitted just the owners only. But that being said, I'm thinking about starting a Spindle TV group on Facebook for those of you that follow Spindle training videos on Facebook. A group that y'all can go in and talk about things, share projects with each other, whatever. We'll start a little community, a little Spindle TV community, and see if we can build it up. And all that way, I can post files in that group for you guys and girls as well. All right. Well, I think right now I'm just talking to talk. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out and joining me tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed this project, our project here. We're going to carve that on Thursday night at 7 p.m. Join us here on this channel, Spindle TV. We're going to carve it live. We're going to prep the material. We're going to talk about Aura Mask 813 stencil film and how I use it and everything. We're going to talk about the different finishes that we're going to be talking about. You're going to see me set up the board, clamp it. You're going to see how I zero out my machine. You'll see a little bit of the digital wood cover. It's not going to be a promo commercial or anything. You're going to see the setup and what I do and what I use. You're going to see my spoil board, all that wonderful stuff. And we're going to carve. And then Friday at 7 p.m., we're going to take the project home and finish it. When I say take it home, like home run, take it home. I'm going to be waving us on to, past third and going home. I'm not a baseball watcher, so I probably said that analogy all wrong. But anyway, we're going to take it home. We're going to finish it up. We're going to do some painting and clear coating and stuff, and see how it turns out. All right. All right. All right. I look forward to each and every one of you. I want to thank you all. Mike, as always, thanks for your feedback and stuff. And Tippy, thanks for that tip. Thanks, Warren, for all the thumbs up. Ed Nygaard, always good to see you. Cecil, I wish I could thank everybody. Dean, I'm really glad to see you pop in. I saw you over there the other night with Dave Gatton, so I appreciate you. And Crystal, Southern Florida girl, nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Can't believe you live in LaBelle. That's funny. Thank you. Sylvia, always a pleasure seeing you, Sylvia. Debbie Miller, absolutely love you to death. All of you guys and girls, all of our digital woodcarver customers, all of you that are new, and all of you that are, that have been around and followed me for a little bit. If you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe to this channel. Check out my other channel, subscribe to it, and because there's going to be new content and all there, but it's not CNC content, it's going to be woodworking. I appreciate you. And we're going to sign off. I didn't see any questions. And if I did miss your questions, everybody, or if I did miss any questions, I will answer those in the comments of the video. I'll come back and answer them in the comments. But I appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.